In this Photoshop tutorial, I want to show you the new neural filters gallery. I'm using this image from Dave Goudreau from Unsplash. So thank you, Dave, for providing this. I'll attach it to the lesson so you can play around with this image or use any image. Portrait is a good one. So with an image selected in Photoshop, go to Filter, Neural Filters. These are basically AI-based filters that Photoshop is currently developing. So when you watch this, there will likely be more options for you. There are only 3 initial ones that were launched with CC 2021 when it was released: skin smoothing, JPEG artifacts removal, and style transfer. So you can see that 2 of these I actually haven't even downloaded yet. I'm just playing around with these for the first time myself. They're pretty self-explanatory, so there's not much to them. But the first thing you'll have to do is download them. And you will have to use an internet connection for this edit because it does some of this in the cloud. So with skin smoothing, let's turn that on. That's one that I do have downloaded, and it automatically applies that. So let's zoom in here so you can really see what's going on. Let's turn it on and off. You can also preview it on and off down here. And then you can make any adjustments you want. So blurring, increasing the blur and the smoothness will increase this effect. So you can turn it on and off. It does a pretty good job. Now, if you're taking the Photoshop course, you will see in the next section of the course a lesson all about doing skin smoothing in a manual way. So this automatically does it for you. So it's good to learn that, but these new neural filters kind of takes a lot of the pain out of doing all of these things manually. Before we move on to output, I'll just show you this next tab, which is beta filters. So these are filters that they're currently working on right now, or ones that are going to be coming up in the future. Smart Portrait is one of the ones that I've been playing around with, and this basically adds a facial expression to your subject, such as making your subject happier. So I'm going to click this, and you'll see that it's actually processing this, and it's doing some kind of AI work to add a smile. So pay attention to his mouth right here. You'll see it pop up in just a second. It's not perfect though, and some other things happen to his face where it's just not perfect. So you can see that his eyes start to get a little bit weird. That can be fixed though, but if I increase the smile, check out how he actually has teeth now. It's crazy. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of surprise as well to this, and we'll bump that up to 18. So all of this is going to increase or decrease the strength of this effect. Happiness negative is actually going to make him look a little sad. So let's keep that at 28 or so. You can see though that the rest of his face does get a little bit warped, and that's why editing out to a smart filter or to a new layer or one of these options actually will allow us to erase parts of the image that didn't look so good. You have other things like facial age, so you can actually make our subject look older. So check that out. Again, looks a little funky with the hat on. It's not perfect, but you can see what it's starting to do, and depending on the different type of photo, you can actually play around with it and make it look kind of interesting. Head direction. I haven't played around with this one actually. You can actually turn the head. Pretty darn crazy. And you can play around with the feathering and things to try to make it look better or not. You can also vote, so they're taking feedback from user experience. Say yes, no, to say that it looks good or not. There's all sorts of things that are popping up. Makeup transfer, so if you have 2 images and you want to just apply the same style to another one. Depth awareness haze, colorize. This automatically colorizes black and white photos, which is pretty cool. Super zoom. It sort of increases the resolution of images. This is something I'm super interested in. So all kinds of cool stuff. And then if you go here, you can see the applied filters that you have on already. Turn those on or off. So say we want to just turn off our smile, you can do that. What you have to do now is choose your output. It might be, I think it's defaulted to new layer. If you choose smart filter, it will allow you to come back and edit this later on. So if I click OK, you'll see that now it has that applied as a filter. So if we double click it now, we get back to that neural filter gallery. If we do a duplicate layer masked, what's going to happen is now we're going to have a separate layer with our edits made to it and masked out. So this might be a good option where we can play around with erasing some of the eye using one of our filters. You can turn this on or off easily now. So if we go in here, let's see now. See how the eye gets a little warped? I don't like that. So let's just go in here. We're going to take our brush tool, select this mask, and we're going to erase the eye. So you might need to have a little bit of feathering to make it look good. And so that in itself is how you can improve this. And so if we zoom out, that looks pretty good now compared to what it was naturally. And so obviously now we have this skin smoothing. His tattoo doesn't really look good. So again, we might go in here and brush out that part. And you'll have to be careful with his neck over here. And I see his ear is like starting to pop out a little bit right here. So that's a little funky. So again, you can make these adjustments. Same with the hat where we were doing the age filter. You could use your brushes. So depending on if you want to use a smart filter or the duplicate layer with masking or a new layer and you would just use a eraser, I think the duplicate with the masking is probably the best and safest option to be able to make edits, or the smart filter or the smart object layer if you want to go back later on. But the neural filters gallery is pretty darn awesome, and I'm sure it's going to just get even more powerful with even more options. So stay tuned and check it out. And if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in another tutorial.